YouTube. This is going to be a video on really not much of anything, but we'll scrape up out of the news. Not much have happened over the last couple of days, other than a kitty fiddler finally kicked the bucket, and Joe Biden keeps saying things that sound senile. Other than that, there really isn't nothing to talk about. And while that may be good for a lot of you, it's not so good for people whose mental health and lifestyle depends upon ranting psychotically into a camera in the middle of nowhere. Then again, I'm the only person on earth who can say that, so, who cares? But the point is, this is going to be a video on what little I could find, so let's get on with this freak show. Oh yeah, they changed laws, or they changed some of the laws concerning green cards, that people on welfare supposedly may have more difficulty now getting a green card. And I have but one question. Isn't the entire point in taking in immigrants or that kind of humanitarian aid, isn't the point to help people? Aren't you supposed to help these people? Because if not, you really are just taking people into your country for seemingly no reason. Now, I understand there's exceptions when you have exceptional, gifted human beings that your country wants to bring on board to help advance it. But most of these people are not that. So if they don't need welfare, and they're also not really advancing our country either, then what is the point? But I have been poor, obviously not as poor as some of these people, but I've been poor. I'm pretty damn poor currently, honestly. And I think that that's bullshit, because in part I can relate to that, and I don't think it's right to discriminate against people based on economic status or income. As to where a lot of these people and the people supporting this is often the case with Republicans, and whether we like to admit it or not, a lot of libertarians are the same way. They don't fucking need help. They have money. A lot of them have always had money, so they don't understand this and they don't give a shit. But I do, and I think it's bullshit. I'm not saying we don't have too many people in this country. We don't have a swelling immigration population problem. And I'm also not saying it's not going to be a burden on the system economically, but certainly I just think it's bullshit to kind of be that, like, to affect the people needing help affects their green card status in that way, and I don't like that. But anyways, there's that. And like I said, I am coming from this from a bit of a selfish. 1 minute. Alright. Okay, now then. But anyways, I am coming from a bit of a selfish vantage point of I understand on a more personal level. So I don't like this. But anyways, never minding that. I will tell you one way you could have paid for a lot of these people's welfare and their green card and whatever the hell else they want. And that is the same way you could pay off a lot of student loan debt, like Bernie Sanders recently said. If you were not fucking billing out massive fucking corporations and banks that helped collapse our fucking economy in the first place, along with much of the world's economy, including a lot of places in Latin America and Mexico, with their stupid policies and and our country's trade policies and everything else. Had you not done that, you could afford to do a lot more shit, not to mention all these damn wars we're in. But anyways, regardless of all that, rather, the point is, they also want to pay off the Democrats now, mind you, not the fucking Republicans, where you make America great, idiots. The Democrats want to pay off student loan debt. Now, I don't much trust them to do that. I really don't. Then again, giving him some credit, I never trust Obama to make gay marriage legal, but he did. Though really that was the Supreme Court, but still, nevertheless. They want to do that, and then some people argue, well, you should have thought of that before you get before you took out that student loan debt. And there are people making that argument, including this one cuckold idiot that supposedly was on the news talking about they're responsible and he had to pay it off, and it's fair. Well, yeah, because kind of like the people that took out loans for houses they couldn't afford, that were told they could afford them by fucking these banks that were fucking loaning money they couldn't afford to people. It's funny how it's the individual and the private American citizen that always has to fucking take. But anyways, it's funny to me how it's always the citizen and private American citizen and individual that has to take responsibility for our actions, but these massive fucking banks and corporations that keep fucking us never do. Even with the people that did go down because of the way they fucked our economy, like Bernie Madoff, who by the way deserves what he got and more. Even then, you still have to take into consideration the fucking fact that you took one guy who wasn't doing anything some the other people wasn't doing, and you threw him under a bus and then forgot all about the banks that you bailed out. So that's bullshit. But anyways, yeah, you want students to make better choices because everyone knows at the age of around 18 or 19 years old, when you're still pretty much in your teens or teenagers, they always make the best decisions in life, don't they? Very good decision-making ability. So much so you don't even let them drink until 21, but they can fucking take out loans and spend the rest of their life paying off at massive interest to these fucking banking cocksuckers because God forbid you actually fucking help your citizens. Anyways, there's that. Beyond that, I see it's not Sarah Palin, good God. My apologies. Sarah Silverman, who for some reason I have always liked, and I don't really know why. Not sure why, I just always have liked her. The point is, she's recently got in trouble for blackface, and she, I guess, got fired from something because of it, for making a joke. And the thing about that is, unlike the Virginia governor, who, by the way, also wants to kill children after they're born. I mean, you've been mutilating their cock. I guess now you're killing them. But anyways, he can actually wear blackface back in the 80s in a yearbook, who for some reason seems to never age. He looked like the world's youngest 50-year-old. But anyways, he can get away with doing his shit, and he's still a fucking governor. But yeah, you're gonna fucking throw Sarah Silverman under a bus because you wore blackface in a joke. And you also don't understand the Sarah Silverman character or why she does that. The joke is that she plays a character. It's not her doing that. It's the character that she plays. And that's the joke. It's not her making a point about something. She's showing you the world through the eyes of that character. Not that complicated. But in this country, I guess you just can't figure it out. Anyways, we're a smart place. Anyways, that takes me to Hong Kong, where people are protesting the Chinese government, and supposedly some of the protesters raised an American flag. And sung the national anthem. Yeah, there's nothing about that reeks of insurrection or kind of government or American subversion of another country. But in all actuality, there probably isn't. Never minding the fact, I remember back in the 80s, there was an event called Tank War, where supposedly a guy got run over by a tank, but he was never run over. That happened in Hong Kong. And I'm not defending the Chinese government. I've bashed them before, and I'll bash them now, and I do not like the Chinese government. But with that being said, if I would suggest China look to another country to begin its little revolution, to inspire its revolution, if they have one, instead of us. Maybe Norway, Denmark, Holland, Sweden, Switzerland, Japan is a country far closer to them. That's one you could look to. I think is next to them. I'm not going to say it is because I don't want to sound like an idiot because I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, look to those countries. I wouldn't look to us unless you want the beginning of your country to be riddled with infant genital mutilation and a bunch of idiots who think the world was made in 7 days and don't want gays get married. With that being said, obviously, I think we're still a hell of a lot better than China, and I'm not a big fan of that country. But just so you know, we're not that great of a place either. In fact, if you look at the banks and the people that actually backed Mao Zedong, it's like we backed Fidel Castro, we backed Adolf Hitler, we backed the Russian communists. A lot of that was American bankers and corporations stationed in America sending money into those countries, caused revolutions, and we overthrew countries for various financial gain to exploit those countries. So we are part of the reason why China became a communist country, or why China went red in the first place. You need to look up Prescott Bush because he actually had a lot to do with funding Hitler and the Nazis. But anyways, nevertheless, there's that. And finally, Antifa. Not a fan of Antifa. Don't like Antifa. Don't really have much to say about Antifa. Other than I don't like those people. I don't like the entire social justice bunch. I'm not a big fan of them. I think they are to actual social justice and to actual anti-fascism in their case. I think they are to that what the Ministry of Truth is to the novel 1984. That is to say, they're the opposite of what the fuck they report to be or claim or are claiming to be, or are claiming to be rather. But anyways, I don't think Antifa should be, as I have talked about before, they should not be a domestic terrorist group. They have a right to believe what they want. I think some are violent, and I think if they engage in violence, you should deal with them one at a time. And I think the same thing, whether you like hearing this or not, about any right-wing or neo-Nazi group or movement. If they behave like Nazis, and that is to say they're violent, then I think they should be thrown in prison like a bunch of assholes. Or maybe the lunatic has, maybe the loony bin, or wherever the hell else you want to throw the asshole. But if they're not engaging in violence, then I just, what concern is it to me, you know? So, I mean, that's about all there is in the news right now. There really isn't anything going on. And I've made a video that's about as long as I can make it. There's really not a lot to talk about. With that being said, I do think that you should stop mutilating your children and your infants' genitals. I don't think genital mutilation is good. Like I said before, a lot of kids die. It can be dangerous. And again, you don't like the way your kid's dick looks. I hope you think it's better off with a dick than without one, because believe me, that is a risk that you are taking. So with that being said, that's about the end of that. So P666.